Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. A bass, ambient bass day, ambient afternoons, this session I kind of call it. So what it is, what it is, but it's me pretty much doing improvisational ambient music. So feel free to chat. Feel free to, if you got any questions, I'll try to answer them, all that good stuff. But let me see, let me make sure we got the mic going on. Okay, here. Let me get it up. Is that testing? Yep. So just so we don't have to worry about trying to talk too loud. But yeah, so if you've been following me the last few weeks, you know that I've been doing a lot more. I just built this whole pedal board on live, so that's something for you to check out when you get a chance. As well as I just incorporated Midi into my rig, and I'm getting more and more into it as I do it. So a couple patches, additional patches I've programmed since the last time.
The vocoder patch is one of them. The vocoder patch.
So we got the vocoder patch there, and so I programmed some sounds like that as well. That'll help me get all my nice little funk guitar type sounds I like to have. So all that stuff is programmed in there. So been quite busy just programming some of these different patches into pretty much. So if you're not familiar and you didn't catch it the last couple episodes, what we have going on here is we have pretty much these two main switches here. These are analog, the T-tone switches, three-way switches. So pretty much what they allow me to do, they're effects loops. Each pedal represents a different effects loop. So this first one is the Poly Blue OC5 Spectrum C4 synth running into the C4 synth is running into the Hog 2. Hog 2 is then running into the Deep Freeze, and then Deep Freeze is running into the MS-60B plus. So that's the first loop. And that could be a pedalboard by itself, Hog 2, between these three different octavers. And, well, I would say the Hog 2 is more of an actual synthesizer. get tons of different sounds with the Hog 2, even though it is that pedal's what 10, 12 years old, something like that. Still sounds amazing. Still is hard to beat in terms of like functionality, being able to do all this different stuff. The Hog 3 does have some nice features. It doesn't have all the extra octaves like the third octave up, 2 octaves and a third, 4, 4 octaves up. All that's kind of why I got the Hog 2. It has more octaves available than other pedals, which allows me to create different sounds. Even if I was just to change that mix right there with the sounds to get different sounds out of little stuff like that. So you got plenty of options available with that Hog 2 there. So, like I said, when it comes to live stuff, I do have this here in addition to the Hog 2s as part of the Hog 2, where I save all the actual. Matter of fact, let me switch to this view. You guys can see the actual pedal board a little better. This pedal here actually saves all my presets for the Hog 2 within it. So now I can scroll through different presets. Different effects with that. But even more important, the Hog 2 has Midi, which makes my life a lot easier because I can just simply press a button and have access to my different sounds. But not only that, but I have access, it changes quite a few different pedals. So loop 1, like I said, is Poly Blue, OC5 Spectrum, C4 Synth into the Hog 2 Deep Freeze MS-60B Plus. Loop 2 is Mel 9, Key 9, Rabbit Sitar V256. Loop 3 is Bass Balls, MXR Bass Filter, and the Blurst. And loop 4 is just the MS-50G. While loop 5 is this entire little analog preamp section down here, where you have the Eden WTDI, the Aguilar AG preamp. You have the Ampeg SGT and the Color Box, as well as the Gensler Magellan preamp. And the reason I have this set up like this is because I don't, a lot of times I'm not taking these analog preamps out the house because see how much space they take up? I put all of those into the ToneX 1. So, in my ToneX 1, I have 12 different preamps available and throughout the 20 in different variations. So I have all these different preamps you see here, as well as things like the Jens Benz Shuttle, the Mark Bass Little Mark III is in there, and things like the Harkey TX 600, tube preamp in there as well. So check all that stuff out on the Patreon if you want. All those preamps and stuff are available on the Patreon, as well as the presets for MS-60B plus, MS-70 plus, and the C4 synth. We got 47 different bass synths available on that. So the idea, so yeah, and I can just take those out. And then the last loop I have is the Zoom B6 by itself, right? And then all of that's running into the Empress compressor, ToneX 1, MXR layers, MS-70 CDR plus, HX1, and the Plethora X1 jumps down to the looper board here with the Jamman XT Solo, Jamman Solo XT, and the new Jamman Solo HD, which sounds amazing, by the way. And ending with the Atlas compressor. So, and that's running stereo, the Atlas compressor. So when I incorporated the Midi into the board, right? So all of this, not all of this is running on Midi. Of course, all these pedals don't have Midi, but the C4 synth, well, the Spectrum has Midi, Spectrum, the C4 synth, the MS-60B plus, the V256 vocoder, that big orange pedal over there in the corner, the Hog 2, the Zoom MS-70 CDR plus, and the HX1 all have Midi, as well as the Atlas compressor, but I'm not using that on Midi. I'm not using the Spectrum on Midi. So I'm only using the C4 synth, MS-60B plus, Hog 2, vocoder, MS-70 CDR plus, and HX1 are all running Midi. And I'm using this little box here, the HX1, to facilitate all that. So that allows me to use up to 8 different USB MIDI devices. So when I'm performing live, I have it set up to where those pedals are pretty much changed the majority of, ambient sounds like delays, reverbs, modulations, all up there in stereo, right? Because it's running as soon as it gets to the MS-70 CDR plus, this one, it turns into stereo. So and when I'm using this live, like I said, I'm not usually taking these analog preamps. I'm relying on the ToneX 1, which has all of those different preamps available on there, as well as my actual preset list exactly from my ToneX 1 is available on the Patreon as well. So you want to support the channel, hit that like button and subscribe as well. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me, though. And so basically when I'm performing live, I plan to leave these 2 loops on here. And so that'll pretty much be almost this entire right side of the board here. So from the Hog 2 and this all the way, all that stuff over there. But all that stuff is true bypass with custom cables. I also soldered all these cables personally, so I know they're solid. Know they sound, don't add too much to the, doesn't change the sound too much, other than the Boss OC5 does have a buffered bypass, which isn't bad in this case. It's in the beginning of the chain. So you need, when you're running this much cable, it's actually good to have a buffered bypass in there. You just don't want to have too many. So I do have that OC5, that's a buffered bypass, and that functions as the buffer for the whole front part of the board. And at the end, the TC Electronic Plethora X1 actually has a buffered bypass as well. So that helps continue to, a nice strong signal onto the looper stuff onto the board. So have all that on, and then on page 1 I got all my different preset stuff. So you got all that on there, right? And as well as I have it so I can toggle the Hog 2 on and off, and it's in my save setting here, 1. So basically the first one, straight up bass stuff, pretty much bypasses. You can see these different pedals turn off and switch and stuff. So if I was to come here, you see all the different pedals and stuff on something different. Then I can click here. Wow, I don't have to change too much. See what we got here. Got a question. Wanted to get my first bass been playing guitar for 20 years. I need a 4-string for recording in the field mix. Would I recommend the P bass? And is the Marcus Miller Cyrus a good choice? Really, I mean, the majority of basses out here are good choices. Like this, you really can't go wrong with. It just depends on the sound that you want. You really need to play it, and it's really going to matter about what you prefer the sound of. What sounds good in my hands may sound completely different in yours, and for your needs. Like, I have a super wide variety of needs. To be honest, beginner basses or basses that are under a certain price point, it just depends on which tier you're going at. You can get something like a used Ibanez sound gear with Bartolini pickups and active preamp in there for like 400 used, usually. So something like that is what I recommend a lot of people get, But the Marcus Miller bass, Sire basses, I've heard good things about them, haven't played them. P basses, I've played them. They're cool, but they're just not my cup of tea. Good. It's just that they aren't what I play and what I need it for. So we're continuing on with the pedal board here. I have each one of these set up for different things, like synth bass. And mind you, if I want different variations of the stuff, I can easily come and add different filters. I can add the baseball filter. use the sound as it is. And that sound pretty much is just C for itself. The MS-70 CDR Plus, the Empress, ToneX 1, and the Hog 2. I mean the HX1. No Hog 2. But within that, I have to send signals to turn off the other pedal. So the cool thing about MIDI is it keeps me from doing the tap dancing thing. Like, for sure, to get to all those different sounds, I would have to bend down here, toggle this switch. Let me see which view we. Yep, we still on the pedal board view. So I would have to toggle this switch here on the pedal board. I would have to then hit this on or off. If it wasn't on, then I would have to bend down and hit this button here to bypass this. Or, I'd have to go to the MS-70 CDR Plus and do that, and so forth and so on. So the MIDI portion of it, I haven't changed these two. Those aren't on MIDI. But just to be able to go from that to my regular bass sound if I wanted. And all I did was press one button, and I have to change my EQ on my bass, because the octave pedals and bass synth pedals, you want to roll off the bass, boost the high mids, and that helps the track better. But in the push of a button, I'm pretty much back to synth bass, and that can be incredibly useful. So working with the MIDI side of things, allows for you to have a very versatile setup. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not only that, but very complex setup where you really don't have time to be tap dancing too much on stage, and it takes away from your performance. You want to just kind of be able to play. You know what I mean? See, checking some stuff there. But if you don't like what's going on with the MIDI stuff, you can always just change it. That's always an option. So for this, I want to go. I didn't realize I didn't have that program changed in here. So I gotta put this. You can have up to 6 functions triggered with the press down, and then another 6 with the release. So you got a lot of different wiggle room there when it comes to flexibility in the MIDI. Fortunately, I also have a MIDI switcher on the way, and it's not a super big brand name switcher. It's actually like kind of like an off-brand name, but I'm gonna try it out and just see if it works and see if it works well. It says it has true bypass and it says it has all the features. If it could do the majority of things and do that quietly, without introducing any extra noise and do just the routing, basic things I needed to do, I'll be happy for sure. All right, I think that's what I needed for that adjustment. There we go. So make sure y'all hit that like button while y'all hanging out with me. You know what I'm saying? So doing stuff like that live is made so much easier than trying to sit there and press all those pedals and effects loops in and out and everything else. This MIDI captain is making my life way easier. This MIDI captain along with this H2 this is H2 MIDI Pro by CME. So with that pretty much so this is pretty much, this little box here pretty much is the brains of it. You know what I'm saying, of the MIDI. Distributing it. I can run a line of USB to the computer, and the computer I can sync it with Logic or DAW, Ableton Live if I want to use this live and have everything trigger automatically with other things live. I can do that as well. But mainly it connects this MIDI controller here, which has 10 foot switches altogether. 2 of them are being used for page up and down, so that leaves me with 8 presets per page. So, and I can also customize these other ones, these page up down ones, to be different presets as well, but I prefer them just be page up and down. And I actually have, like I said, page 1 is the presets where you can do stuff like that. So you can just presets. Makes my life a lot easier. So page 2, well, just so we know the different, I have, in order for all these to be able to talk through this device, you got to have them set to different MIDI channels. So MIDI channel 1 is the Electro-Harmonix Hog 2. Channel 2 is the, let me switch to this other view so you guys can see a little bit better. Channel 2 is the HX, let me just move this over, is the HX1. Then channel 3 is actually the MS-70 CDR Plus. Channel 4 is the MS-60B Plus. Channel 5, no, excuse me. I'm sorry. Channel 1 is the Electro-Harmonix Hog 2. Channel 2 is listen, let me slow down. Hog 2, channel 1. HX1, channel 2. I know that's confusing when you guys say it out loud. That's what's messing me up. Then the C4 synth is channel 3. I don't know why I've never paid attention to the names, like, and just put in the chat. I might actually change these channels to the names. Because all these names have numbers in them. I never really even thought about it. I'm just used to just knowing what they are. And I've had them for quite a bit of, most of these pedals for quite a bit of time. So, you know, it's just, I never realized how many of my pedals have numbers in the name. So, yeah, that kind of throws a little monkey wrench in that, doesn't it? So, again, Hog 2, channel 2, HX1, channel 2, the C4 synth, channel 3, channel 4 is the MS-70 CDR Plus, and channel 5 is the MS-60B Plus. So those are all the pedals being controlled by MIDI. And what that allows this controller to do, like I said, allows I can have it control individual effects, like page 2 corresponds to the HX1. put this in bypass real quick. And then, all right, here we go. Had this little flanger on there. This is without it. With it. Really nice wide flanger. So I really love that flanger, by the way. That sounds amazing. And what I have the foot switch set up to do is on and off for the effect as well. So it switches to the preset through the PC messages, program changes. And I use the CC commands, which is the control change. Or change control. One of these. It's CC. All right. CC messages change parameters. So things like the speed and all that of the modulation, it changes that stuff. Program changes. PC changes the actual preset. So I have sent 2 different commands for that. But when you press it down, like I said, with these in geek mode, this does on the Midi Captain, it can send up to 6 commands at once, just pressing it down, and then when you release it, it can send another 6. So essentially, with just one press of the button, press and release of the button, you can send 12 different commands, have it change all different types of 12 different or more pedals, even more than that. So, and you can hook this up to lights. You can hook it up to your iPad. You can have your iPad running all this stuff as well, changing sheet music from your iPad and everything else. So it gets pretty crazy when you really have everything set up the right way with Midi. So, and something I'm just getting into, it's not like I'm some, super Midi guru, and this is, if I can set it up, being newer into it, I'm pretty sure you can too. Of course, I'm not new to effects, but yeah, you got different effects. I can control all of the HX1 presets that I want. Hall. What else we got here? Dynamic Bloom. Shimmer. Particle Verb. And if I want a more extreme setting, I have the flux button on there set to allow me to have more of that extreme setting on one end, and then on the other end, it's more of the practical setting. So, and you can actually control the flux through Midi as well. So. Plenty of action on that. So that is the HX1. Got the C4 synth set up on page 3. What's going on? And I set these up just in case I want to be able to control things separately. So I have page 1 and going backwards. So page 1, page 16 right now. I'll probably have more than that, but those will be presets. But going forward, like getting to page 2, page 3, 4, 5, all those will correspond with the MIDI channels that are available. So only one that won't be doing that is the Hog 2. And that's mostly because I already have it right here. I don't really have to set this up, but I will actually go ahead and set this up at some point because I want to hop around to different numbers. And in order to do that here, it's a little more strenuous than just pressing one button. So all these synths are available on the Patreon as well. And if you want to just support the channel more, you can do that through the Patreon. And as you can see, it's two different synths kind of triggered at different dynamic levels. So one is that more Cynthia synth. That's you can play that on the softer sections, you know, and not have, when you get to the chorus, you just increase your volume of your bass or increase your dynamic level of your playing. So that allows for a little bit more of an expressive way of playing a synth where when you want that. Check it out. You know, you see what I'm saying? So you got different sounds in there like that as well. So, but yeah, that controls the C4 synth. Now, this one controls the MS-70 CDR Plus, which is page 4. So I can have different modulations. Nice chorus. Vibrato. Beautiful. Then we got bass flanger. Nice bass detune, which adds to any of the synths, you know. Warp phaser. So that's pretty cool, having all these different sounds. Little synth patch there, you know. A little tasty synth that I can just throw on. That patch I can just throw on any synth. Like, it really don't even matter. You can just pick one. Just pick any one. And that's the great thing about these the multi-stomp series from the Zoom. They sound really, really good. Like, they have completely upgraded the analog circuitry of it all. It just sounds really good. And they don't cost a lot. For $130, I think those are running. These MS-70 CDR, the blue one up there. They cover so many pedals accurately. For instance, this is the tri-chorus. That's just what I got programmed in there, right? That versus the actual TC Electronic tri-chorus algorithm that's in the Plethora X1. Right? Now, these are more extreme settings on this. But what I can do is I can pretty much replicate them. Good depth, slow, sweet, and just a lot more. Okay. This is the MS-70 CDR. Plethora X1. Zoom. That's pretty much identical, spot on. So, when it comes to, it's very, and that's just with me doing very little tweaking. All I did was bring up the mix from the setting. The setting I had on there is modeled after the one of the other settings I have on the tri-chorus, in the Tone app. There's an actual app for the Tone Print app. So they sound almost identical. Nice, both of them sound nice. So having something like that MS-70 CDR Plus definitely will open up your access to sounds that are fairly expensive to have if you try to get every piece of gear that it actually does a decent job of emulating, So, yeah, it's nice to have all that on different patches. So you go back to channel 1 or page 1. Bypass everything. And we'll go to channel 5, which is the MS-60B Plus. Right? So that's this. So the first patch I have on there is the Z synth that's on the MS-60B Plus, which before I had the C4 synth, I used to use this Z synth for a lot of different stuff. And it actually gets you pretty close for a lot of stuff. Right? Gets you real close for a lot of different stuff. You can change the decay. You can change that cutoff and get it, less bright or brighter. You can add more resonance and make it fatter if you wanted to. But I find that's a nice, good saturation mix. And I have that mixed with the dry signal in there. So my favorite overdrives, like the clear drive preamp. Along with the Blueberry drive. Nice warm overdrive. Then we got the RC drive. See, just slightly breaks up. So, like, this is more of like a colored overdrive sound for me. The clear drive, and then I have this as like a just straight up overdrive, the Blueberry drive. It's a nice warm overdrive, and then there's really one that's pretty much almost clean, but just breaks up slightly in certain when you push it. But you really gotta push it to get it to do anything. So then you got filters, Q-Chon filter. Then you got slow attack for different things I may want. And because this is towards the beginning of the chain, not at the very beginning, but it's right after my octave. So if I want to do stuff like and just have it, run into various pad stuff. Attack off just slightly. Right, so then I got this little 1073 pre here for if I want to color any of this stuff, or just a little bit. But yeah, and then I actually have this last one on MS-60B Plus set up to bypass the pedal. So when I press this, it's bypass. If I press this, it's got the overdrive button. But the last one, completely bypass. All right. Page 6 was all the compressors of the Atlas compressor, and still is set up for that. If I connect the Atlas compressor to the hub there, then it'll connect, and I'll be able to switch compressors as well. But for the most part, I'm just using an 1173 style compressor running into a tube style compressor. For tube one, I'm using for just the coloring of it, the warmth. And the 1173 is doing all the actual compression in the Atlas compressor here, down there on the floor. So All right, so that's literally the entire chain, how everything kind of works. But like I said, it just makes for a lot less tap dancing. See how I can just do that very conveniently. I can turn on the hog too, turn it off, and I could just be doing all that from the floor without even touching the board, which makes it makes it so much better. I can even have this set up wirelessly. Like if I got the little extension, the Witty plug I can put that in here, run it in there, and then bam. I would be able to have this wirelessly. This can run off batteries. This can run off a 9-volt battery supply off of the power board, off of the power supplies underneath the board. This board is running off of two one-spot CS12s as well as a smaller Moorer power supply. So I could even have it run off of that stuff. And mind you, I'll also say this for those of you guys that are interested in pedalboard or loopers and things like that. The Jam Man Solo HD is an amazing pedal. Definitely sounds good. As you guys heard before, let me see what else we got in here. So So, yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out with me, of course. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day, all that good stuff. If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe. That way you know when I'm going live and keep up with me, all that good stuff. And if you would like to support the channel more, you do that through the Patreon. If you want some of my presets that you've been listening to and hearing throughout the video, you can catch that all on the Patreon. And that includes things like the C4 synth, the synth sounds you heard there, as well as things, patches from the MS-60B Plus, the MS-70CDR Plus, as well as the Zoom B6, all have their own preset packs on my Patreon, as well as the ToneX series pedal and software. You have 11 different preamp packs available for that, as well as my personal preset pack, which includes 12 different preamps. So check all that stuff out on the Patreon. If you want to, send a tip through Cash App, Super Chat, Super Thanks, I definitely appreciate it all. And if you would like to find my music, you can do that through allbasscreations.bandcamp. Again, that's allbasscreations.bandcamp.com. You can find all my original compositions and things like that. So other than that, I'll catch you guys next time.